Hello and welcome, Sonic Tier here, and today I am showing you how to create and paint your own livery and put it on a Formula 1 style car and race it around a track in Grand Prix 4. Hopefully by the end of this video you should be able to choose your design, put it out on a canvas, put it out on the car, put it into the game, and you should be able to drive it around the track. I'm not vastly experienced on this topic, there are plenty of better people by a mile than me. But if you look on the screen, there are a few of my designs popping up, things I've painted for people or for pleasure in the past, and hopefully they demonstrate that I'm reasonable at doing this. I'm not the best, but I think I have enough knowledge to be able to impart with you guys and help you maybe paint, maybe just a basic car to begin with, and hopefully teach you where you want. Teach you the basic skills to be able to improve your ability in painting a car. In this video I'm going to show you the programs you're going to need. That's going to come first. I'm going to show you how to paint the car itself, and then I'm going to show you how to get it into the game, and I'm also going to show you maybe one or two little tricks that I use in order to make everything you do a little bit easier and hopefully help you with the whole process of painting. Anyway, let's head straight into the first step. First things first, you're going to need to know what programs you need in order to create, design, make, whatever, basically do your car to do. And as you can see, I've got a load of websites open. The first thing you're going to need is a template to paint on. And if you come over to a website called GP4 Grand Prix 4 database.com, come into the cars section and then come into the templates section. What you're going to do is you're going to find a load of these templates that range from anything from the MP48, the old style car, to the Super Aguris, the Toyotas. You got kart templates. There's a GP2 template, GP2 template, and basically these are all templates made so that are nice to start on and paint and create your own designs on, do what you like with, basically. The template I'm using is not from there. The template I'm using is from grandprixgames.org. This is a great website that's dedicated to Grand Prix 4, Grand Prix 3 and Formula 1 as the main three topics, and they have loads of help with all three. There's stuff like helmets, problems with Windows 7, screenshot pages, 2012 HUDs, series, and basically if you search or maybe start a new thread asking, you're going to find loads of templates that are great to paint on, and if you look around, mine's from here. Mine's by a guy called MDB Snake, who creates loads of great fictional templates that for me I would probably advise are the best ones to start painting on, because I started painting on these, and these are probably the best, because they're so easy, they're easy to understand, they have everything you need to get going, everything you need to basically paint your own car in any way you like. Yes, they're not real, but at the same time they're very good versions of the cars that are out there. The one I'm using for this tutorial is the SMD ZG02. If you want to get the same one, what you do is you come on the Grand Prix Games website and you'll arrive here, if it loads, and then you go onto Grand Prix 4, and then you're going to want to go on this top this one that is called GPGSL. This is actually a series based on the website, an AI based series. So what you're going to do is you're going to want to come on here, scroll down a bit, and you're going to find something that says Season 7 Car Shape SM, and it's missing a D, SMD ZG02 and template. You want to click that link, you want to download the file that's there, extract it, and that will be the template that's exactly the same as the one I'm using. It's great to start on, I would really advise it. So now you've got a template, you want to have something to paint the template with. So now you need GIMP. Now GIMP is, for me, I'm just going to go on the download section, for me GIMP is effectively the free version of Photoshop. I can't afford Photoshop, I'd have no means of getting Photoshop, so I looked around and I found GIMP. GIMP is for me, effectively the equivalent. I would say it's as good as, a little bit different, you know, there's not the professional level to it, but it's really well supported. You can get add-ons, you can get all sorts, and it's free. So for me, that makes it worth more than Photoshop by a million miles. So what you want to do is you want to come on here, click on the download section, and then download this one. You don't need the newest one. You could probably do it with any version of GIMP that has the basic paint tools. But the newest one's always nice, it's always the best supported, and you can find good information on it. Just as a pointer, this tutorial does not contain information. Oops, I've got my spyware coming up. Just for information, this tutorial will not contain lessons on how to use GIMP. If it did, this video would be absolutely ginormous. I mean, the basics. So for this tutorial, I'm assuming you're going to know the basics of how to use GIMP, where everything is. You know, I will show you by doing it myself, but at the same time, you will need to know how to use it. There's plenty of help out there. There's documentation up here. There's YouTube videos. There's websites. There's a nice forum you can go on. And so I would certainly, you know, if you've never used GIMP, you might want to just familiarise yourself with it, play around with it a bit, and then tackle this, because if you don't know where everything is, I'm not going to guide you through it in the same way as I will other stuff. So now you've got your template, you've got something to paint it with, you want something to check what your design is going to look like, and here we head over to ZModeler. Now, just my first point is, do not at any time download this top one. You do not want ZModeler 2. ZModeler 2 does not anymore contain support for the Grand Prix 4 LOD files, the files that make the 3D, the files that are effectively the 3D car, the actual car itself. ZModeler doesn't open them in its newest form. So what you have to do is you have to come down here, and I've never tried this because I have a version already on my computer, but I think this ZModeler V107 SDK might work. And I can't guarantee you, but I think it might work. If it doesn't work, then let me know, and I might be able to help you find ZModeler V1.07b, which is the best version for this type of thing by far. It supports Grand Prix 4 files amazingly, does everything you need it to, and works perfectly smoothly for me. So if you can't find it, let me know and I'll help you out. Now that you've done that, you need the files that are going to help. You need the programs, sorry, not the files. You got the files. You need the programs that are going to get you from painting your car to playing your car in game. The first one of those, well, two of those actually, are on here. First of all, you have GP4 Builder. We're on realgpx.com. All the links will be in the description. I'll put them below in the description. But you come on realgpx.com and you go head over to here and click GP4 Builder, and you want to download this. This is effectively a 3D editor. As you can see, you can deal with tracks in it. It's a 3D editor for GP4. It deals with cars, it deals with tracks, it deals with helmets, it deals with anything that has a 3D thing to it. In fact, it deals with pretty much 2D as well. So this is what you're going to want to do to make your car so that it adapts and works in game. What you're also going to need to, once you have all the files prepared, you're also going to WAD updater, which is on the left. This basically means that you can convert. It's quite difficult to explain, but there's a file that contains all the car information called a WAD. So what you need to do is, what you're going to need to do to put your car information in the game is put your car in the WAD. What this program does is that can do that for you. It can get your car information, make it so that you can shove it in. This also won't be covered in this tutorial. I'm more than happy to do a tutorial which describes how to use WAD updater, but for this information it's going to be, you know, pretty skimming over this, because that's not the main point of car painting. The main stuff is to do with the rest of the stuff that I've showed you so far. Now, the final program you're going to need, I know this has been quite long, is back on gp4db.com. So you come over to MISC, you come over to Tools, and you want this top one, Zaz Tools. Zaz Tools are possibly the best tools to have arrived, apart from GPX patch. Yeah, just to point out, you will need a patched and cracked version not cracked, you're going to need a GPX patched version of Grand Prix 4. This won't work on the vanilla game in any shape or form. You're going to need this sort of stuff. So what you do is you download these, you install them, and it basically contains everything you need to run the game, run all the mods that are going to arrive. The program we want is here. It's SlimText. What this will do is create the picture you draw in GIMP, as we'll be using, or Photoshop, or whatever you end up, creating your picture in, and it'll convert it into a texture that your car will basically wear. So you're going to need to download that, and that will be used later in the process to turn your pretty picture that you've made and turn it into a texture that will go on the car itself, because what you create will not go straight onto the car. Anyway, now we have all the programs we need, we have all the tools we need, so next we'll be progressing on to actually painting the car itself and getting creative. Once you've downloaded everything, installed all the files, chosen your template, you're going to want to get onto painting and designing your car. So what you're going to do is you're going to download your template, and it'll probably be in a RAR file, so you're going to extract it, and the one I'm using will be the SMD ZG02, which is, as I said, by the man MDB Snake, who's a very good designer. It's a fictional design based on some of the older cars in about the 2001 time. So, but for me it looks good, it's easy to paint, and I would advise something like this one because it's just a very nice template to paint on. So when you're going to open it up, you're going to come in here, you've got the screenshot of it, you've got the readme, which you should read, but I'm not going to for the pace of this. Then you're going to come in here and you're going to have a load of files sitting in front of you. I'm going to quickly explain what each of them are. These files up here are the files for the 3D car. Effectively, that is the physical form of the car itself. These ones to here is car 1, as it says, and these ones to here is car 2, as it says. The only critical one is these two. These two are the 0 LODs of both car 1 and car 2. To make the car work, those are the only 2 LODs you desperately need. However, these other 4, as you can see, these 4, car 1 and car 2, they make the car work on lower version machines, like lower speed machines. It requires less processing power to run the car if you have the other 4. And also it means that in the distance you're going to have less problems with the car flickering between your livery and the livery that it originally is. Next you come down, that's the carbon texture file for all the carbon that will be effectively on the car. Each of them contain a lot of carbon, so that will already be in the game, so I wouldn't worry too much about copying them over. That is in case you want to edit the carbon. There's a TGA file, which is the editable form of the editable form of the text file. Text file you can't actually edit in GIMP. The TGA file you can. Then what you've got is you're going to have Chrome. You're going to have a bitmap. That's just a picture of, if you look down there, of what the Chrome looks like. You're going to have 2 files, car 1 and car 2, which are ZModeler files, which if you double click them you can open them in ZModeler, and I'll give you a quick glimpse of that. This should show you, if it loads, what the car will look like in ZModeler. I'm opening ZModeler version 2 there, but that's because I happen to have it installed for other projects. So this is what the car looks like. I have just the 3D mode. Yours will look different. Yours will have all 4 screens, but we'll get onto that later. Anyway, you can close that down. You will also have the PSD file, which we'll get onto in a second. The text file, which is the texture file that the game uses. So this is the format you'll eventually want the car, the file you make, the file you paint, create, for example, to be in. But for now, we're not going to worry about that because we don't touch that. That is not touched. This file is another one that we don't really touch. It's not touched, but it is important to use. I might explain that a bit more afterwards. This effectively, when you are viewing the car in ZModeler, as I just showed you, if you want to view the texture, you are going to have it in this TGA form. However, this is not the file you're going to edit. The file you're going to use to create your car, create your design, is this PSD file. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and open up GIMP. This will take a little bit to load because of course my computer's not the greatest, and it has to find all the files, but as I've got nothing else running, it shouldn't take too long. Here we go. That's it. GIMP's just loading. GIMP 2.6. I don't know if I have the newest version. It may automatically update, but I can't 100% confirm. So anyway, what we're going to do is when this loads, we're going to load up GIMP. When it loads, come on GIMP. We're going to load up GIMP, and here you've got all your tools. This you should all know about, as I've previously explained. I'm not explaining all of this, I'm afraid. This is the stuff that you will have to learn for yourself. So we're going to go up to there. We're going to go into desktop. We're going to go into the folder I used. Here we go, keep going in. And the one we want to open is the smdzg02.psg, and we will open that file. And when that loads, and this is what you are going to be presented with. If I can zoom in a bit, there we go, there we go. Now we've got that full screen, so we can move. Oh sugar, no, we don't want to move it. So we can move up and down and side to side. So yeah, we'll move that toolbox over there and the layers over there for now. This is what you're going to be presented with. This is effectively all the pieces of the car taken and flattened. So it's on a flat canvas, so you can paint it. This, as you might have guessed, does cause some translation problems. It's very difficult to get a rounded curvature of a car, Formula 1 car especially, and make it flat. So when you have to take it in mind that when you're painting, not all of the stuff that you paint will come out exactly as you planned. You have to account for the curvature and the shape and the different shapes of the car. But basically all of these parts match to a different section of the car. So what you have here, for example, you have the nose, which is attached to the bodywork. You've got the engine inlets, you have the side pods, you have the engine cover, the side of the nose supports, the inside of the nose supports, the outside of the nose supports, all those kind of things, underside of the nose. What you will notice is that, for example, the rear wing, these are the rear wing end plates, these two. There is two. There is a black pair and a yellow pair. And you may notice that, for example, this is a section of this, but cut off. As when you opened your template, this is for this template only. This may not occur. If this doesn't occur, ignore what I'm about to say and skip ahead to the part where I get on painting, because this part is only relevant for textures that templates that have this. This effectively is the black parts and the orange parts belong to car 1. The yellow parts belong to car 2. This means that you can design both car 1 and car 2 on the same template without actually having to paint over the template you've just done in order to get a different design for car, in order to get a, like if you want to put the number 2 in there but the number 1 in there, so car 1 is number 1, car 2 is number 2. You don't have to paint over the number 1 and sort that out and resave it. You can just do it in one template, everything will be in the same place, and it's handily color coded at this current moment in time. Of course, when you paint it, it might not be, but for the current moment, it's handily color coded. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to head over to the layers, and you're going to have many layers, each of them different thing. You've got wireframe, body shading. You know, if you click the eye or remove it, you can't see it anymore. So for example, this one, body shading means that the driver's suit disappears. Shadings means all the shaded areas become disappearing. So we're going to leave all of these on. Bolts, removes the bolts. Body lines, remove some of the body lines, but also some more body lines. Any sponsors, for example the Bridgestone sponsors that the car has by default, they're off. All details for the cars, they're all off as well. So we're just going to shove them all on because they're not the ones we're worried about. The one you're worried about, the one that you're going to be touching and fiddling with and getting your hands getting stuck into, is the one called Object on this one. This may be called various things in templates you're using, such as background, I don't know, but it's, when you look at it here, it's the one with all the colour, and the one you're going to be wanting to edit is the one with all the colour. So you want to make sure your blue, your layer select is over that. It doesn't matter if you can see it. In fact, it sometimes helps so you can see it, so you can see what effect the shading and the bolts has, and so you can see where they are, but if you draw a line over them, it's not going to get rid of them. So now you simply go about painting. I think what we'll do is we'll go for a nice blue. We're going to have a nice blue car. So what we're going to do is basically from now on you can just go around. Oh, I don't like that actually. We're going to go for red actually. Red. So we'll fill these all in with red. Now it's basically you do as you wish. You can fill it in with red. You can, you know, bucket fill as I'm doing here, or you can get your pencil out, maybe go for some black, get stuck in over here, draw there. If you go outside, if I paint over here, I'm not painting anything because it's not part of the template, so it doesn't matter if you go offline. So for example, I can draw that line to there, and then we can put one in that goes across there in a straight line, and across there in a straight line. We'll put that up there again, and we'll go across to there in a straight line, and then we can fill that in black, and so we've got a black section of the car. And so you can basically, from this is the point where you have the free license to do whatever you like. You fill in the car pieces and you just go wild. So I'm gonna carry on fiddling about with this car. You guys can just design whatever you like, and I'll be back in a bit once I've finished designing my car. There are a few points I would like to make whilst the painting is to be done. My first one is that, for example, when you are here, you know, you want to go and you're going through the, what would be the petrol inlet, so you come up to here, you make a line, you know, using the shift key as you do in GIMP, you stop there, and then you come over to here and you start over there, and you know, you draw a line to match the other side. Voila, we've matched it, and then you go, okay, so now I'm going to fill this part in. Oh, the whole thing's gone black, so that must mean that there's a gap. Now, what the best way to identify the problem with this would be to get rid of that, and if you get rid of that, you notice that the black area doesn't actually covers part of the red bodywork, which means when you're filling in part of the red bodywork that is part of the red bodywork that you need to paint, you can't actually see. So you have, sometimes you would need to get rid of these items in order to get, you know, in order to paint over them. So what the best thing to do is, once you get there, is to effectively hold shift and just draw a straight line through it, and that way you're not going to have any problems with gaps. So we draw another one there, you fill it in, boom, you press the, you bring in the details button, and we're back again. As long as you're highlighted over this objecting, over this background area, no matter, even if you paint over these lines, they are still going to appear. They will always be there. You're not ever going to erase them. It's the same with these sponsors. No matter how much you paint over them, they will end up there, and shadows them too. And whilst you can't see it with that, if we, for example, go dark blue, we'll go for a light blue so you can see it. It starts off light there, but you go into the shadows and it gets darker. So the shadows, as they are attached to a separate layer, when you are painting, you can't actually paint over them. So you can do whatever you like with the bodywork, and as long, if you leave the sponsors there, you can see them, and it doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to paint over them. It's not too much of a problem. So you can just do that. Anyway, I'm going to continue painting, and hopefully soon I should have a complete car, and we can move on to the next stage in getting your car ready. We're back, we have a car, we've designed stuff. As you can see, it's effectively, as I said earlier, you're just getting your pieces, you're seeing all the pieces are, and you're just filling them, or you're just drawing lines on them. And that's effectively what we're going to do. What I've used a bit, I've used this Bezier tool to create these curves, and these curves up here. and then I've used the text tool to create these. A little tip with the text tool is when you create like the word, for example, I've created the word Sonneketeer after myself, of course, nice car to have after myself. It will come up in a separate layer like this. Sometimes when I make layers like this, what I will do is I'll right click and I'll merge down so it joins onto this, like the number ones are. These were also created with a text tool, so it means that if you run a crown over it, oh, it's affected it. So like that. When you're using stuff on this, for example, important areas like side pods, to be fair, I really should have done it on the nose as well, but I didn't look. What you want to do is you probably want to leave it as a single layer, because if you do that, if you want to leave it as a separate layer, because if you do that, it means that when you come along and you're drawing and you're designing your side pods, you do that, look, it's going to go underneath it, and your words are still going to be there, they're still going to be intact. Anything you've written, the numbers, your words, they're all going to be where you want them to be. So I'll just get rid of that. So this is now what I've designed. It's not the best, I won't lie, it's not what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to get a quick design with some important features. As you can see down here, it's not important to get everything in the lines and accurate, because the stuff that goes outside of the lines will be ignored by your car. It's not going to come up with jagged lines everywhere sticking out the car. If it's not on these little pieces, it won't go on the car. So if you want it to be on the car, it has to be within these lines that are already defined by the template. Now, next step, we're going to get the car to see what it looks like. First thing you need to do is you need to go to File, you need to go to Save As, and you need to rename your car to whatever you like. For example, this is the tutorial car, and you want to make sure this stays at PSD. That has to stay at PSD. Save. So this will just save, and I'll explain to you in a second why you want to save. Make sure it's PSD. Now, what you want to do is go to File, File, Save As, same name, tutorial car, but you want to change PSD to TGA. Save. They'll come up with this screen. You want to merge visible layers and then export, and then you want to have RLE compression ticked, origin bottom left. I'm no expert, so I have only a slight idea what this means, but just leave that as it is and click save. What you've just done there is you've saved it in two different forms. TGA is the form that you're going to view it in ZModeler to see what the car looks like, and also is the form you're going to convert into a texture file to go into the game. You cannot convert a PSD file to a texture file. You have to go PSD to TGA to text file. That is the order you have to do it. I don't know of any way in which you can download the game, download the game. I don't know any way in which you can download a program and convert PSD into text files. I do not know, and I've not done it at all, and I don't think you can. When you've saved it as a PSD file, what it means is that you can come back later and edit it. When you saved as a TGA, what it did was it got all of these layers, body shadings, object, Sonneketeer, details, sponsors, and it's compressed them all in one. It's flattened everything together, which means if you load the TGA file and you draw, for example, you draw over this line, what's going to happen is that line's going to disappear and be replaced by the colour you pick, or whatever colour you're drawing with. Same with the sponsors, the numbers, the bolts, they're all going to disappear. However, if you save it as PSD, you still have them in separate layers, which means you can click on the background, the object and layer, click on the colours layer, and you can go and you can draw without actually, for example, that's, you can't see that, with that, the bolt is still there, the line is still there, not a problem. So that's how you want it to be. Otherwise, you're going to have major problems. I've done it a few times where I've saved it as a TGA file and edited it later, and trust me, it's a lot harder to edit a TGA file and paint it than it is to edit a PSD file. So you want to have the PSD file there in case you edit it later. Anyway, now we move on to the next step of viewing your car in ZModeler. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and open ZModeler, making sure it's ZModeler 1.07b, of course, and you're going to be confronted with this screen. The box you want is this box, the bottom right hand corner. And so what you're going to do is you're going to want to get rid of these three. So what you do is you go up here and drag them out the way, because you're only going to want to view your car in 3D mode. You can change it there, but it's 3D mode is the way we want it. Now what you're going to do is you have two options to open your car. First one is you go open, and you go to where your car is located. If your car template has these files, it's a Z3D scene, you'll also be able to see them in the folder. There'll be ZModeler files. If it has those, all you simply have to do is double click it, boom, your car's in front of you. It's possible, however, and I've dealt with many cars like this, where it doesn't have one of those. So if you don't have a ZModeler file that you can open, or any file that opens, what you want to do is go File, Import, and then you want to be importing this. Car team name car1 lod 0. Or if you want to look at car 2, you have to go down to team name car2 lod 0, but you only ever open lod 0. Lod 1, 2, 3 and 4 will not show you what you want to see. The one you open is lod 0, so we go ahead and open that. There we go. Now we have the car in front of us. That's the design, but as you can see, it's got an orange, the default colours on it that it had when we opened the template. And so now we want to go about, we can rotate that around with the mouse, by the way. So now we want to go about putting our colours on it, the pretty pattern we made. So what we do is we go up to here. This is the red ball called the material editor, also can be opened with E. And we go down here, and you'll notice that I have four different things: car light map channel 3, car light map channel 2, carbon, and SMD ZG02. Those two are maps for the car lights, and I believe possibly the brake lights. So what you do not do is what you're not going to want to do is touch those. That is for the carbon. You only want to touch that if you've changed the carbon file, which I have not. I have never done, because the carbon on in these cars is always very realistic and very nice looking. The people who made it did a very good job, I won't lie. So the one you're going to want to open is the one that's named after the template normally, or it will be named something fairly obvious like car or template. So what you want to do is go ahead and click that one. So for example, mine is called SMD 7G02, no, ZG02. So I go ahead and click that. This will come up, and you've got this nice orb that you can rotate around that doesn't really do anything apart from show the texture canvas that you had in a ball shape. So what you want to go and do is come down to this section, and you want to go to primary texture, which should be ticked. If it's not ticked, tick it, and it says SMD ZG02. That was the original file that I had when I went into the folder that the template was in. That's the colours of the car that the creator made. So I want to go in there, click where it says SMG02, and then we can go up to there. And then we've got these three. What you can do is you can replace texture, so you can replace the texture that is there by default and hit replace texture and choose your one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click add, and I'm going to find tutorial car, which is what we saved it as, TGA, so you can only use TGAs. And so make sure, oh that keeps coming up, make sure that is highlighted and click OK. So then you'll see your car change in the background, and you want to click OK again. Voila, this, ladies and gentlemen, is what the car looks like. As you can see, I had ragged edges there, they're now clean. Everything is as it is. You can see here where we've got this bit, mouse wheel to zoom in just in case you weren't noticed, that is where the different sections of the car, for example, there's a car section that comes along here, up here, and along to here, and it ends here. And where I've painted, where that comes up, it overlaps a section where I painted. I don't know whether I still have it. I do. So we have, where is it? This section up here, it comes up, and what it does is it comes along here, and because of the curvature of the car, it overlaps there and there slightly. So if you've got that problem like I have, then what you might want to do is go back and edit your car, edit your design so that it looks right. As you notice, there are grills there which I couldn't see. Like when I designed the car, it doesn't have the grills. So there are parts of so what you might have to do is, once you've seen it, and what I tend to do is, once you've seen it, seen your car, go back into GIMP, load the car, load the PSD file again, edit it, save it as PSD, save it as TGA, open in ZModeler, see if it looked any better. And what I tend to do is I'll make, for example, I'll do a small section, like I'll do the front nose, I'll save it, I'll do what I need to do, get it in ZModeler, and basically I'll check it in ZModeler after each little step, because for me it's easier to have the nose perfect and then move on to a separate part than make all the design, then go into ZModeler, view your car like this, and find, well, actually this part doesn't work, this part doesn't work, this part doesn't work, this part doesn't work, and you've got to go and correct it all little bits in one go. So I often find it's better to do the ZModeler sections in small sections and work on that rather than doing that. Anyway, now you've viewed your car, so after this, Sonic here, woo! So now after this, what you're going to be wanting to do is put it into Grand Prix 4, and that's a step I shall be moving on to next. So now we reach the point where we want to get the car, we've seen it in ZModeler, we've designed it in GIMP, we want to get the car in game and use it in Grand Prix 4. So now what we need to do is go over to GP4 Builder, open that up, and then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open up team name car1 lod 0 GP4, the same thing that you imported into ZModeler, if you imported that into there. So this is going to load up the thing. Now the car's going to look very weird, and that's because it hasn't been converted to a text file yet, so don't worry about that too much. This is why you want to look at it in ZModeler and not GP4 Builder, because you can't really see, I mean, there's pieces missing, it doesn't all look right, so you just tend to leave that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Tools, and we need to go over to Rename Textures. And if you see here, the texture that it's allocated to is the SMD-ZG021 that it began with. So what you need to do is you need to go down at that, go into your wherever your car is, and you need to find out the name that you saved it, the TGA file as, the file that you viewed in ZModeler. That texture file, you need to see what the name is. For me, it is tutorialcar.tga. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to replace the name of SMDZG02 and you're going to put tutorial car. And what it has to be is it has to be exactly the same. So that's got a lowercase c, so I'm just going to put a lowercase c there. It has to be exactly the same as what the design you made, so that when you put the car file in the game, it's going to recognize your TGA or text file that it will eventually be, and it's going to say, okay, then this is what the car should look like, this is what I'm going to use. So then you click apply and it'll re-render it, and you can see it's now got the colours that I wanted in it, which is a good sign, so you know you're done. Now what you're going to do is you're going to hit Control S and save it, and that's GP4 Builder done. What you then have to do is if you want to basically use all 5 LODs, i.e. LOD 4, LOD 3, LOD 2, LOD 1 and LOD 0, you have to go in, open each one, open one, you have to open each of them, and then you have to do the same as I just did, rename the texture from the default name to the name that you're using for your TGA file. So for example, LOD 1, you have to go and open LOD 1, rename the texture, open LOD 2, rename the texture, open LOD 3, rename the texture, open LOD 4, rename the texture. Then you also have to do the same for car 2. So I'm going to do that now. File, open file, and we're going to open car 2. So that should hopefully work. When it loads up, we've got to do that. There is So okay, we've got the car there. Rotate it around a bit just so I can see a better. Rename texture and rename that tutorial car. Oh no, not care, car. So you click apply, that'll save it, and then you click save. What you can do, and what I've done many times, is if you want to, and if you've got, for example, car 1, and you've got all of these files, the ones I've just highlighted, and all of them have correctly been allocated the TGA file, you've renamed all of them successfully in GP4 Builder, what you can do is copy and paste them, and then just rename it car 1 and replace that with car 2. And that saves you having to open all of these again and rename the textures in there, because that kind of you're copying over and renaming them because it's the same car, just effectively duplicated. So I'm gonna do that now. Once you've renamed all the in GP4 Builder, you've renamed all the textures so that they match. They've changed from the default name to the name that you're using for your texture. What you're going to have to do is go into Zaz GP4 Tools, and you have to open SlimText. And then at the top here, we're going to go to Batch to Text. So you get this screen up. Now, what you're going to you're going to go to where you made your design, saved your design TGA. And here we have mine, tutorial car.tga, and you're going to get that and you're going to drag it into there. So now you've got it in there, height and width, everything sorted. Next, choose output path. Of course, I'm going to want that in the same place where everything else has been, so we'll put that in there. So that's going to end up in this folder where I want it to. Now, you're going to make sure that this is highlighted, or if you've got more than one, you can highlight them all, and then you're going to come over to macros, and you're going to click cars. So then it's going to come up with all these files. Basically, all of these create it into the right form that GP4 needs to use it. And then what you're also going to do is you're going to come over to the prefix, and you're going to click hi. So this will rename it so that it has the word hi in front of it. So that then when you put it into Grand Prix 4, the quality of the TGA texture file will be high quality, will look good, and you're going to like it more. So then you hit convert. Zaz SlimText will do its work and bung the file out into where you want it, which is where it's gone. I've lost it. There. Sorry, I missed it. I was looking for T and it begins with H, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of these, and I'm also going to copy that, and I'm going to bring them up a level so I can work with them without the clutter of all the other files. So we'll bung them there, and it also means that we're not renaming these things up here, so that in future we can use them for maybe a different project. So now what you need to be doing is you need to choose which team you want your car to replace. In my case, I think I'm going to choose Ferrari. So what you've got to do is come up here, and whichever team in GP4 you're replacing, if you're not sure, go onto Wikipedia and find the team names for the 2004 season, and then you can choose which one you prefer your car to be in place of. I'm not a big fan of Ferrari, so I'm going to replace it with Ferrari, and of course it's red, so it's kind of the same design. So we're going to go in here, do this, keep going. You've got to rename every single one to the word Ferrari, even the car 2s. And what this will do is, instead of Ferrari in my game, I'm going to get my nice Sonneteer red, white and black car, hopefully popping up and showing itself in high definition, no problems whatsoever. Okay, here we go, and that's the last one. So now we get onto the final part where we're preparing. So what I've done is I've got cars WOD, and I've extracted it using WOD Updater to this folder. So what we need to do is we need to go there, and we need to copy those however many, I think there's 11 files there, yep, 11. And you've got to copy them. You're going to go into cars, and you're going to drop them, Control V, you're going to drop them all there. And you are going to replace everything, because of course you don't want them to be there, you want them to be instead of them. So we're just going to replace all of that. That'll drop everything in. So now we're going to delete that because we need to recreate it, and we're going to come over here into WOD Updater and select a folder. So we want this one, the cars folder that I extracted and put everything in. We're going to create WOD, and it is going to be called cars. So we hit save. Now all you've simply got to do is get this cars WOD. As you can see, the other one was 23 megabytes. We're now up to 33 megabytes. Generally, fictional created cars or cars created by other users will be bigger than the GP4 because they're much higher quality. No offense to Jeff Crammond, but the original cars weren't of the greatest quality. We can shut WOD Updater. So now we're going to go into GP4, which is best done by finding the shortcut, hitting right click and going to open file location, and we're going to control V in, and we're going to replace the cars WOD with the one I have. So we're going to do that. Yep. And now hopefully the car should be in the game. So when you boot it up, which I'm about to do in a second, the car should be on. You should have no problems, and you should be able to see your design in the game working. So give me a second and I will boot that up to show you. So here we are in Grand Prix 4, and I'm hopefully gonna click this drive button, and it is gonna bring up the car that I made as a demonstration earlier. As you can see, I've got Michael Schumacher up, Ferrari. It doesn't matter which driver you choose, of course, either one should have the design. I'm in Australia, but this may not be Australia because I've changed around the tracks. It is called Meeborn because I was trying to demonstrate a point about changing track names, which I am able to do. So if you want to ask me about that, go ahead. Quick race just to demonstrate, and rookie also just to demonstrate. I would also like to point out that I did have to copy the carbon.txt file into the WOD, into the cars folder, in order to make the carbon appear on the cars. This is because normally in a WOD I would have it already there from other cars, but in this one it was fresh straight from the game, so it didn't happen to be there. So if you want to remember, make sure you copy, or you have a copy of the carbon.txt file in the cars folder, in the same folder where I put all the other files in the cars WOD, and then create it and then copy it over to Grand Prix 4. Anyway, I'm going to hit the drive button, and hopefully this is going to load some track. I can't guarantee you where. I think, I have a feeling, I can't, give any guarantees, but we'll soon see. This seems to be India. So as you can see, we'll find a good view. Where's a good one? There we go. As you can see, the design is on the car. If we move forward, it's also on the other car. A point I'd like to make with this car is that you can see the yellow bits on it, on the nose, on the side. These are because I didn't colour in the yellow parts in red. If you were making a car and you wanted the yellow parts to appear the same colour, you'd have to duplicate the parts that were in orange and copy them exactly over to the parts that are in yellow in order to appear on this car correctly, unless you have copied over the LOD from car 1. If you renamed the texture in car 1 and you copied over the LOD and renamed it car 2, then it would only use the orange sections. If you need clarification on that, just let me know. I mean, it's not an easy subject to get your mouth around, but I can hopefully provide insight. If you notice, as I've been driven off track here, you will notice the car is exceptionally shiny. This I know how to fix. That's not going to be covered in this video. Hopefully at some point it will be covered in a future video, but when I make hopefully another one to detail more. My next one I'm hoping to do more towards, if this goes down well, sponsors, putting sponsors on cars and tips with that, and also making a car less shiny. So as you can see, the car works, that everything that I did on is in the game. You do need to think about the second car the way I described earlier, with the mechanics of it not having not using the same sections like the rear wing end plates. They will be yellow, whereas on my car I repainted them, I left them as black. So you just have to keep in mind and make sure you cover all sections of the car you painted. Anyway, I've proven this works. So now that just leaves me with one thing to inform you, and that requires me to leave Grand Prix 4. Okay, so here I am, final tip of this video, which has been quite long, I know, and hopefully has been quite informative, but if you are struggling to work out which parts of the cars are which, what I can suggest you do is find really obscure colours. So say for example you're not quite sure what this part is, fill it in with that. And what I find best to do is do as many of these. So I don't know what that is, so I'll colour it in a red, and then I'll find a nice pink, and I don't know what they and them are, so I'll colour them in pink. And I don't know what, for example, this and this are, so I'll colour them in green. And I don't know what, we need to find it, we'll use a yellow. And we don't know what this and this are. They blend in well with that now, so that's probably not the greatest idea to use in the world. But and then we'll go for a nice purple to find out what this and this are, and then also then that. So if you're unsure, what you can do is, as I've done here, fill certain areas with, try and make it as obscure colours as possible so they stand out and you're not going, those two colours look the same, or those two colours look the same. That red isn't great, so I'm going to try and get a deeper red, a nice obscure red. That doesn't stand out any better, so we might have to go for a dark blue. There we go, we'll go for a dark blue. So we'll shove that in there. There you go. Now you can't see it, but so then after you've done that, what you want to do is go through the same process. So what do we want to do? We want to, as I'm not interested in saving this over the original texture, I am not going to save this as a PSD, because I want the original PSD file to remain intact. But if you do want to use this as some sort of guidance as what to paint where, you will want to save it as a PSD so you can come back and edit later. So we're going to go in there, into there again, and we're going to save it as test.tga, and we'll save that, and we'll export, and we'll save. So then you're coming into ZModeler and you're opening up the car, which is as my default car. You know, I made all pretty, my excellent car that worked in game. You're going to come over back to the same place where you apply the materials. If you're looking on screen, you can see where I've done it. I'll add another texture this time. We need to locate where I put it. I put it in a different location for ease, so I'm not having to overwrite certain stuff. We'll scroll down to it. You can see all my mess of my hard drive and this. We'll go into where it is. We'll open test.tga. We'll click OK. We'll click OK again, and there you go. So now you can see, for example, these green stripes are the insides of the cockpit. This blue part, this light blue part, is behind the steering wheel. The purple is now the rear wing end plates. No, the rear wing plates. We also have the pink, which we find is the insides of the radiators at the sides. Yellow, the one thing we recoloured in yellow disguisedly, is the inside of the front nose supports, and that little blue, dark blue bit which we coloured in comes up on here. So if you're unsure, make a rainbow car. Then you can, when you put it in ZModeler, you can work out what each different sections are. Normally it's relatively easy, as you can tell from the shape, but there are certain parts on certain templates which I've always thought, can't quite tell what it is. So what you want to do is go in, make a rainbow car, put it in ZModeler, and try it out. Anyway, that's the video finished. That's the tutorial done. So now hopefully you feel confident enough to go out there, maybe with a few problems, and if you have any problems, ask me. I am more than happy to, answer your queries. You can PM me under the username TrueCrisis, crisis with a Y as in the video game, on Grand Prix games, and I will happily answer any queries. PM me on YouTube, comment on YouTube. By all means, I will answer anything. If you like the video and you found it was helpful, give it a like, give it a comment. If you think I can improve or find points that I might have missed, because I'm sure I've missed a lot, then, you know, drop me a comment, let me know. That would really help me out, and maybe in a second video I can explain certain stuff that I missed. For example, the reflectiveness, I can sort that out in another video. Sponsors, I can sort that out in another video. There are certain things I do know I can sort out, and anything you want me to add to that list, I can do. I will cover other topics. There is going to be hopefully some track making, some helmet colouring, and I could possibly do stuff that doesn't involve Grand Prix 4 at all. There are certain topics like Football Manager I can deal with. I can hopefully maybe help you with Football Manager if you're having problems. You know, there are certain topics that I could hopefully help for with PC gaming, and if you want me to try and make a tutorial of something, let me know. I'll give it a go. Hopefully it will help you guys. And if you want to see more of these tutorials, hit the subscribe button. Anyway, that is the tutorial out. That's me done talking to you for a little bit, and that is Sonicateer out.